Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wrestling with Cruises. There we go. I'm Alex Abrahantes. Hope everyone's having a great night tonight. Now, this is try number 2. We had a little bit of technical difficulties with our live stream, which, hey, it's live streaming, right? Stuff's going to happen, and sometimes it does, and it just did. So if you're just joining me, thanks so much for watching. This is a show that I created out of my love and passion for cruising. And listen, I can't be on a cruise ship. I've got cruise fever, and what better way to find a remedy than to talk to other people who love cruising, and that kind of helps me get by and hopefully gets all of us get by. And we'll be talking all about the great things that you can do on the ship. And each and every episode, I talk to someone who is a cruise fanatic, who also has a pretty exciting and incredible background. And this week is no different. This gentleman that I'm about to bring on the screen here, well, he's built an incredible following for himself because he has followed his passion, which is food. He's known as the Yum Yum Foodie, and if you've ever checked out his Instagram page, I guarantee you that you're probably starving by the end of it, because I know I am. We had the pleasure of meeting each other on one of the inaugural sailings on Norwegian Cruise Line. And in case this is your first time here Wrestling with Cruises, Norwegian sends a variety of different influencers out when they launch a new ship. And we had the pleasure of meeting each other in Vancouver, British Columbia, when Norwegian launched the Joy. So without further ado, I'm bringing him up. He's Eddie Zamora. Eddie, thank you so much for your patience and for joining me here today.
That's right. Cubans, we aren't known for our patience, but I'm definitely a rare breed.
It's true.
So
Thank you.
absolutely, man. I'm glad to be here, Alex, for sure.
Awesome. So we were chatting before we got cut off, and it was a little crazy because I was on the screen, you weren't on the screen, and you were on the screen. So I'd love to just kind of backtrack and just catch everybody kind of up to
For sure.
speed as to what you do and how you came about doing this. And I mean, listen, you're excellent at what you do. I also want to hear about the show that you're on as well. So if you can kind of give us a rundown as to who you are, I think everybody out there would appreciate it.
For sure. My name's Eddie Zamora at the Yum Yum Foodie on social media. Originally born and raised at Miami, Florida. And my current job is one of the judges on the family food competition television show called Dinner Takes All. So I do have to eat for a living. It's kind of my
That's
job.
incredible. That's a dream job.
I know, right, man? I can't complain. If you would have told me, 10 years ago, you're going to eat for a living, I'll be like, oh, what am I eating? But sure, whatever. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like. But yeah, okay, Miss Cleo. Sure.
Well, in our case, Walter Mercado would have told you.
That's true. What the Megala would have told me. And I just watched the phenomenal documentary about him on Netflix, which
On
was
Netflix, yeah, it was
outstanding.
great. Brought
It
back
was
a lot of
wild.
memories.
But it's true. What the Megala would have told me that with mucho, mucho amor, I would be eating for a living right now.
Well, you kind of are,
But
right? Because
yeah,
you're following your passion and your dreams. So you kind of are doing that.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. I was an actor. I was an actor for many years, and I've been an actor for 20 plus years. And I moved to California like so many actors do. But before I did that, I was a TV show host in Miami in Spanish television. And when I moved to LA, like so many people in the entertainment business, I started working in restaurants. And that was really the catalyst for my passion for food. I was getting to try foods that I couldn't afford at the time. I
Wow,
also
that's
worked
kind of
in
cool.
catering. Yeah, so I got to drink wines that I couldn't afford. And it's like one of those things where you're like, I don't understand why this person drives a Lamborghini. Then you drive a Lamborghini and you're like, oh, I see why somebody who has this kind of money extra would do that. It was the same thing with food. Like I didn't understand why somebody would dish out, $100, $200 on a bottle of wine.
Sure.
And then I had the blessed opportunity from work to get to try those things without dipping into my own pocket. And you're just like, oh, I get it
It all makes
when,
sense.
I understand. Like, okay, you get what you pay for. I get it. Okay, cool, groovy. Um, and then the Yum Yum Foodie started essentially from all of that. I became your friend that you always call when you travel. You wanted to find out where to eat. Chances are I'd been there. I was a spokesperson for an automotive company, and I traveled the world as a
Wow.
spokesperson. And that's where my foodie job started. I never had to really pay for it myself. Somebody was always giving me, a per diem because I was in a city working.
Right.
And the minute I got out of work was when I took the opportunity to explore that city. And I'm so, as you could tell, super passionate about it. And I knew I wanted to do this in television in some way, shape, or form. And through a chance interaction, which I guess I got to tell you a story because it's hysterical, man.
Yeah.
This is one of the weird stories of life. I'm working for this automotive company, and I'm working on a job in Aspen, Colorado. A lot of fancy rich people, and me. And I'm just standing there and helping people talk about cars because we had these cars out, and there's just people from the city are walking around. And it is probably like 15 degrees. And I know you live in Jersey, but man, when you're from Miami, 15 degrees
Yeah.
feels like Siberia. And,
Absolutely.
you know, here I am, this tan Cuban kid, first time in Colorado. It's super dry. There's altitude. I'm dying. And
Right.
some dude about 100 feet away from me pulls up in full cycling gear. I'm talking about the biker shorts, the tight shirt,
The real deal.
no jacket on. Oh, yeah, like the real cyclist dude. And he starts talking to these two blonde ladies. And I'm like, look at this guy thinking he's Lance Armstrong, trying to mac to these chicks. Is my mind, you know?
Right.
So Buddy turns around and it's Lance Armstrong.
What?
Yes, it gets better. So it is
Yeah.
Lance Armstrong. So I'm like, great. Well, I guess if somebody's gonna roll up here in biker gear and talk to women, it's gonna be Lance
It's gonna be
Armstrong.
Lance Armstrong.
And it's gonna be Lance Armstrong. And at that time, I had like just my personal Twitter account, and I just wrote something like, "Oh, Lance Armstrong, working really hard in Aspen, wink, wink, whatever." He responded to me an hour later. I didn't know. My phone drained. He had X amount of millions of followers. This must have been maybe 2010. You know what I mean? Like around that time, I had never even developed the Yum Yum Foodie. But I had people from all over the world asking me about Lance Armstrong. Like, what bike was he riding? What shoes did he have
Wow.
on? It turned into and something in my mind sparked. And I said, man, there's something so impactful and so powerful with social media.
Yeah.
How can I create something that would work for me and what I do? And little did I know that that moment right there was what eventually turned into what I do now as the Yum Yum Foodie, because like the movie Field of Dreams, I was like, if you build it, they will come.
Right.
So I always wanted to do this in television for a living, and thanks to Cleve Keller and Dave Knoll, the creators of Chopped, famous show on Food Network, I had the blessed opportunity to work on Dinner Takes All. So I'm a very hardworking guy, but I always say lucky, but man, you really have to put in work and just be prepared when an opportunity comes up.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Now, speaking of
Yeah, sorry,
opportunities,
I
how
went
did
on
the
a tangent, but that's how it started.
No, that's wonderful. That's incredible. What a story. Like, who would have thought, you're joking around and it's actually Lance Armstrong. Like, how does this happen?
Yeah,
It's like something out of a movie.
my Cuban sarcasm comes out. I'm like, oh, look at this guy thinking he's Lance Armstrong. Trying to talk to these girls. Dude, I swear to you, you couldn't time it better. In the comedy movie, he turns around and bam, it's Lance
It's
Armstrong.
Lance
I'm like, all right,
Armstrong.
well,
That's
you win,
crazy.
Lance. You win.
So let me ask you. So you talked about opportunities. How did the opportunity for you to go on the Norwegian ship? How did this happen for you?
It was through Twitter. It was a gentleman by the name of Alberto, who I'm still in contact with, who works for an advertising agency in Miami. And he was a Twitter follower of mine, and he understood my sense of humor. He got what I did, and I guess one of the folks from Norwegian reached out to him, and without ever having met me or spoken to me on the phone, he recommended me.
Wow.
And he and I are friends to this day. We'll talk every 1 or 2 months, and he still works in the creative world, and it's really wild. That's another beautiful thing of social media is, look, I got to meet you, Alex. I get to meet really, really wonderful people
Yeah.
that maybe given circumstances other than this, I would have never had the opportunity to connect with.
No doubt about it. It's incredible how it can bring you
Yeah.
closer together. You find commonality. You meet people. That you've, as you mentioned, would normally not come across just because it is a big world. But yeah, social media is so incredible and fascinating. So in
Yeah.
terms of that, I mean, that's really why Norwegian invited us to go on their ships to be able
Hmm.
to spread the word and hope that we had a good enough time that we would be able to share that, with our
Yeah.
followings. And so that being said, were you a big cruise fan before being invited to some of the inaugurals?
Yeah, I had spent, I say, like a hiatus, let's say, from going on cruises for a while, just because I had gone on a few cruises when I still lived in Miami, but I moved out of Miami in 2004. And here in Los Angeles, if you've never been to the West Coast, and I know you have, the water is a bit cooler
Yeah,
than it is where I grew up.
sure.
So for me to want to go on a cruise, I was like, well, there's no beach that I really want to get off in the and get in the water, get off the ship, and and get in the water on the Pacific side. And for some reason, at that moment in time, now Alaska fascinates me, but at that moment in time, maybe Alaska wasn't something that I was interested in. So there was a little bit of a hiatus, and then I mean, I got bitten by the cruise bug on the inaugural of Norwegian Escape,
Yeah.
which is that's the first time I ever went on not the first time I think I ever went on a Norwegian ship, which is the story that I got to tell you because you're not going to believe this. This is and I'd forgotten
Okay.
about this and I've told this before. I used to go on a ship called the Norway, and it was an iconic ship from Norwegian Cruise Line. I mean,
Okay.
to me as like a little kid, it looked like the Titanic, except it
Right.
had two smokestacks instead of one. And it was the biggest ship at the port of Miami. It was the longest ship at the time. This was before a ship called the Sovereign of the Seas came out, and that was like the biggest thing ever from Royal Caribbean. There was the Norway. My father's a musician, and he made his living as a musician my entire life. And my dad was one of the musicians for many years that would get on board the Norway before sail away. And he would
Oh,
always bring me as his assistant to help set up his drum kit. That's BS. I was just going to the buffet
I bet. I don't
and,
blame you.
and putting on pounds and listening to live jazz performed by my dad every Saturday. And I think
Wow.
my dad worked on the Norway in at least 2 years, maybe 3 years, and I maybe missed a handful of times. So
Wow.
that was the first Norwegian ship that I went on, and I knew that ship so well. Yet I had not been on a cruise at that time in my life. Crazy.
Really?
That
It's
had been like 1987,
That's
1988.
fascinating. So then, what was your first official cruise?
My first official cruise was on, I think it was called the Emerald Star Lines or something like that, or Admiral Cruises, and
Hmm.
it was a ship called the Emerald Seas. And it was this, I mean, dude, this thing looks like a Coast Guard cutter now compared to
I bet.
the ships that you and I have been on. But that was my first cruise, and it was the most exciting thing in the world. And it was literally just a 3-day cruise from Miami to the
The
Bahamas and
Bahamas.
back.
Yep. Yeah.
And it was, this was before the Atlantis that you see now, in the Bahamas. It was just you go to the beach in the Bahamas and that's it. But it was the coolest thing in the world for me as a kid to get to go
So
on there.
so let's fast forward a little bit because you mentioned the Encore. I went on
Hmm.
the Encore. It debuted out of New York. I remember I
That's
saw it
right.
coming out and immediately booked it. So I was probably, I don't know, third or fourth sailing on it because
Oh,
I had been on the
awesome.
Breakaway when it first came out, and that was awesome. Then the Getaway came out, and then I'm sorry, not the Encore, the Escape. Right? Is that the
Okay, got it. To
yeah,
Bermuda.
I get them confused. The Escape and the Encore because they're so similar. So
Right.
um, so then I went on the Escape and I was just blown away. So is the Escape your favorite ship? I can't recall. You had told me what ship your
Yes.
favorite ship was.
So the Escape is my favorite ship because so many parts of it are based around my hometown, Miami.
That
And
makes sense.
they at the time they had a Tobacco Road, which I think they changed. Maybe it changed names now. I don't remember. It's funny because
Yeah,
I
I
went on
think
the
it is
Escape
still
again.
Tobacco Road.
It's still Tobacco Road, but like the original Tobacco Road is no longer there. That's been torn down, which is crazy. That's right, and it has the Guy
Yeah,
Harvey painting on the side there.
there it is.
Um, yeah, yeah, and I mean I love that ship, and it's one of those things where it reminds me of home, and it was my first experience, with NCL. Like a Pitbull did the opening ceremony outside of the on the at the port of Miami, and I was there to cover it, and that was super exciting. Mr. 305 there, and right at the height of when he was Mr. 305, Mr. Worldwide, and people were just going nuts, and there was this energy around it,
Yeah,
and I can't begin. You know this, but I can't begin to explain the level of feeling at home that you
sure.
have sometimes on a ship. And
Yeah,
there's something about the Escape where I feel at home. And I've been on most recently about a year ago. So in April, it would have been a year. I did a Bermuda cruise for one of my best friend's 40th birthdays, obviously out of New York on
that's
Escape.
great.
And
Yeah,
it was just as amazing as it was the first time I went on there.
yeah, that's awesome. That's kind of how I felt
Excuse me.
with the Getaway, because the
Hmm.
Getaway it was positioned in Miami and it had all Caribbean Latin themed. So I remember specifically where what is the American Diner now, and then previously was Margaritaville, right? It
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah. I was on the
Tropicana.
right.
It was the I think it was like Tropicana
Oh, how
rum or
cool.
something like that. Do you remember that? Do you recall any of that?
No, because when I went on it, it was already
It had been
Margaritaville.
converted.
So I went on the Margaritaville cruise when they were launching in where is it? Oh my gosh, what's the island that has a Margaritaville too? Which has the great scuba diving and the beautiful Belize. There
Ah,
we go.
okay. Got
Uh,
it.
yeah, and we weren't able to get off in Belize because there was too much wind, so we didn't get to
Of
explore
course.
the actual
Of course.
Margaritaville on shore. But it had the Margaritaville on board, so I didn't get to see that Tropicana. But that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And let me tell you, they had pastelitos, they had like empanadas. It was like the
Oh wow!
greatest thing ever. Yeah, so I think I went on the getaway like twice, and then the third time I went on the getaway, they had changed it. I was like, "No, they crushed my dreams." Because
I
I
know
was
that's
so
what.
pumped.
Yeah,
I remember telling my entire family, I'm like, "This is the greatest. It's kind of like a buffet. It's like a Cuban buffet. It's awesome." So yeah, I was a little bit heartbroken when that was taken away. So I feel your sentiment for the
yeah,
escape because the getaway was very similar. I was very connected to the getaway because of that. So that's pretty funny. So let's talk about some of the your favorite food options on the ship,
oh yeah.
because obviously there's a lot. And you and I were talking, and you had mentioned that it's amazing how when you first started cruising, the food was just okay, right? And
Hmm.
now it's
Yeah,
become it's like going out to an incredible restaurant in a big city. The food is just so high quality. So yeah, tell
yeah.
me what some of your favorite restaurants and what some of your favorite food is.
How much time do you have? No, I'm just kidding. It's funny because I even get particular about restaurants on particular ships
Okay,
because sometimes the same restaurant will be located in a different position on a different
sure.
ship because it may be a different ship class. My I have a soft spot in my heart for Le Bistro on Norwegian Sky because it's a
Ah,
really weird design of it. It's in this straight little line right on the side of the ship. You have to go to the
yeah.
back of the ship to
I
find it,
yeah.
and everything
I
is
was
like a
just on Sky.
booth.
I know what you're talking about.
You feel like a mafia boss because everything's like a booth.
Yes.
So you're sitting in the
Yeah.
booth, and
You're
I don't know.
right.
There's something, and you're eating escargot in a booth, and I'm like, oh, this is fancy. But I still think the best meal I've had on a ship is the Onda restaurant on Encore,
Got it.
because it's from Scarpetta Group, and if you're a foodie like me and you're familiar at all with Scarpetta, it is an icon. It's a staple in pasta, and they do the famous pomodoro there, and it tastes just like you're sitting Scarpetta in New York City, except you're floating in the middle of the ocean. And that's something that look at the design of that
It's
restaurant. I
incredible,
mean,
isn't it?
it does not feel like you're on a ship. And I think that's one
Agreed.
thing that they do really well is creating that distinction of space where
Hmm.
for a minute you're taking a vacation within your vacation is
Right.
what it
Yeah.
feels like to me. It's like a
That's
mini
such a great
vacation
point.
within your vacation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that space. It was just stunning. I was blown
Yeah,
away.
I was blown away too. I had a chance to eat on, let's see, it might have been the Joy. So for those of you who don't know, the inaugurals that Eddie and I are talking about that we got invited to, they're typically sometimes 1 day, 2 days, sometimes as long as four
Right.
days. And the Joy, I think, was 3 days, right? We went to Vancouver and ended up in LA, something like that.
We ended up, I think I was on it for a day longer because I had folks from LA jump on board and then they
That's
went
right.
one more day down to Mexico and turned around and came right back.
Right. So that being
Yeah.
said, we had our itinerary kind of laid out for us already. Do you remember what restaurants you got to go to?
On Joy. Oh man. I'll tell you what, like I always end up because I like it, not because of anything else. I say end up. Cagney's. I love Cagney's.
Oh,
It is just like you're sitting at a top-notch steakhouse, and I mean, it really is. It's excellent.
yep. I'm
And
with you.
I always try to figure out a way to get to La Bistro because I think the food is excellent. I know I did Cagney's and La Bistro for sure on Joy,
Mm-hmm.
and I may have done what I don't know what's in the space for is it if it's ocean blue there or not. But I think I did ocean blue if they have an ocean blue. Because
They
I know
do
that
have
on,
it.
on one ship it's Jose Garces, like on Getaway it's called something else, but it's that
Yep.
same space
Yeah,
on the
they've
ship and it's their
actually
seafood concept.
yep, they've transitioned Ocean Blue. Now it's just Ocean Blue across the line.
Got it.
And they do.
Oh,
They have
so
that.
great.
It is great. It
Hmm.
really, when I first tried it, the first time when it first came out, I wasn't all that impressed. And then they kind of rebranded it a little bit, and then I found it to be fantastic. So it's an
Hmm.
incredible steakhouse. It's similar to Cagney's, but I guess they have a little bit more seafood, right?
They do,
And
yeah.
it's just a high class restaurant. You can look at the decor there and see
Well,
how
it's
beautifully appointed
yeah,
it
I
is.
mean, and it's the only place on board. So I get into my food world because I'm one of those people that I love analyzing a menu. It's silly as it's like you give me a menu and you got to give it to me 20 minutes before you want me to order anything because I'm going to sit there and look at like where are the oysters from? How did they bring oysters from there to here? How are they keeping
Right?
it fresh? Like I dive into that world. And I remember at Ocean Blue them just having very specific oysters. And if you're into oysters, they taste very different depending on where you get them, whether they're East Coast, West Coast, Puget Sound. I mean, and they had some cushy oysters, which are some of my favorite oysters. And I'm like, why do they get cushy oysters out here? And we were, anyway, it was just fresh seafood. And you again, you don't feel that there's like a stigma sometimes with cruise ship food. And
Right.
every time we go on board, every time in my mind, somewhere in the dark of my mind, I'm just like, I don't want to like it this time. And then I go on, I'm like, ah, man, I like it.
Yeah.
What is?
It's funny. You mentioned Cagney's. I tell people this all the time. So Cagney's is not just one of my favorite restaurants on Norwegian Cruise Line. It's one of my favorite restaurants, period, because the food
It's
is
great.
just so good and it's consistent. And then
Yeah.
just some of the newer restaurants are great too, like Los Lobos. I'm gonna put up there as
Oh, it was
well.
great. Yeah.
Oh, that was so good. The guacamole there, I will put that guacamole up against any guacamole at land, and I'd say it's
It's killer.
equally, if not better. I loved it.
Well, and
Um,
I live in California. I live in Los Angeles. I mean,
you know, good
it's like when
guacamole.
you're in Miami, you're a Cuban sandwich snob.
Yep.
When you live in Los Angeles, you can kind of tell make a distinction between good guac and okay guac, and it really is. I mean, it's top notch.
Yeah,
It's
and they do it
excellent.
tableside, and so good.
Yep.
But anyway, so I wanted to play a little game with you because obviously,
Sure.
you're a foodie. So I put together a little slideshow of some
Hmm.
photos of food, and I want to see how well you
Cool.
know the NCL restaurants. You think you can handle this?
Let's give it a shot. I
All
mean,
right.
sometimes I won't remember the name of the restaurant, but
All right,
remember.
so hang tight 1 second.
Let's,
Now, this one I'm going to give you because honestly, I, for the life of me, can't even remember where I got this salad,
I have
but it
no
was
idea what that
amazing.
is. I've never eaten that. What
It's
is that?
awesome. I don't know, but it has craisins in it. I think it has walnuts. This might have been at one of the. Oh, I know where this is. This is at the Haven restaurant. Yeah, it's a lunch
Oh,
item
well,
at the
yeah. Well,
Haven
come on, dude.
restaurant. What's that?
It's so funny because I've been in the Haven one time, and it was that one night that we came down from Vancouver on Joy, and I everybody got off, and I stayed on, and I went down to Mexico, so I changed rooms, and I got to have a Haven room off the
Oh,
back of the ship.
fantastic.
But that one night that my dinner was at La Cucina, the Italian
Ah,
restaurant, so I didn't get to eat dinner inside the Haven. I ate breakfast the next day, so I wouldn't have seen
okay.
that. Got it.
Yeah,
That's why I
the
was like,
food there is just top notch. It's great.
oh,
Even
it's
if you're in the
the
Haven and you
breakfast was
don't want to go to the
outstanding.
specialty, it's incredible. So, all right, let's move on. Actually, I'm going to give this one to you as well.
That
This is Haven as
That
well.
looks like Haven too. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah,
that looks like Haven.
it is. It's totally Haven, and it is out of this world. You got to try the Haven. That's also Haven. So I kind of
Oh
cheated
yeah,
there.
huevo
So
rancheros at Haven.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
let's move on to something that you might know. So take a look at this and tell me where it's from.
Um, I mean, if I remember correctly, they have a creme brulee at Cagney's, but
Right.
based, huh?
You're
Is
right
that
about
Cagney's?
that. That's not where this is from, but you're right
But
about that.
but in the background, I'm seeing the little guac station, so I'm thinking that's Los Lobos.
And incorrect. It's actually
Okay.
Le Bistro.
Oh no way.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, well, that
And
makes
it is
sense. Yeah, the creme brulee at Le
fantastic.
Bistro. That's right. Yeah. Oh,
Absolutely
yeah.
amazing. What about this here?
See, so that restaurant on Escape used to be a pub belly. It was called, but it's called Fuda. Uh, it's where you order with the iPad, but I can't remember the name of it.
Food Republic.
Food Republic. Thank you.
So this one,
Yes.
actually, it's funny that you mentioned. Take a look at this picture again, and then look at the background there, and then look at this.
Oh, look at you. Oh yeah, look at
I
you.
tried to help you out. I tried to
Bravo.
help you out.
Touche.
There we go.
Touche.
So this is the fondue for two at Le Bistro.
Yes, that's right.
Which is
That's right.
amazing. And fun fact, so the first time that I ever went on a cruise, it was the Sky. It was a 3-dayer, and I went to that same Le Bistro that you're talking about, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
So
It's like
cool.
an
Yep.
underground, like mafia-ridden restaurant. It was amazing, right?
Feels
So,
like you know. It feels like you know a guy that knows a guy
yeah,
when you walk
exactly.
in there.
Exactly right. Well, I came to find out that you can order anything that you want, as much as you want. I was like, wait, what? And I love desserts, and I couldn't decide. So my entire table was like almost every dessert that they had on the menu because I'm like, I want to try it all. So
That
fondue
sounds
for
like
two
me.
is
Yeah.
actually on the top of my list. I love the fondue for two at Le Bistro.
Oh, right
Highly
on.
recommend it. All right, here you go.
Hmm. See that. Trying to get a good look at it. Sorry if I'm pumping in here. See, the cheese is throwing me off because it looks like it could be the Pomodoro at Onda, but
Hmm.
that says to me Cucina.
That's right. Way to go. You're right.
Yeah,
It
because the
is the
plate the
Cucina.
plating is different. They're very specific on their plating at Onda, and then the Pomodoro at Onda has bigger pieces of tomato in it. It's like
Yeah.
it's their signature dish. Yeah,
It's amazing. It reminds me of Marge Simpson's Beehive because it's like plated that way. I don't know why. It always
absolutely.
makes me think of
Yeah.
that when I
No,
see
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. You're like, how did they get the volume in that?
Exactly.
Oh, wait. Uh, See, I'm trying to think because I think my friend has ordered this. I have not ordered that. So that's either Cagney's or Cucina. Hmm.
All right, I'm going to give it to you. You're right. You're right. It's one of those two places.
Based on the plating, because it had the plates from Cucina, it looks like the line of the plate. I'm gonna say Cucina,
Dude, it's
but
so funny.
it's
You're saying, is
yeah.
that your final answer?
Uh, I, I don't. Yeah, I mean, it looks like something that wouldn't be a Cucina, but the plate is making me think Cucina. But it looks like it's got chocolate. It's like some kind of chocolate mousse pie, which would scream steakhouse to me. So, what, I'm gonna go Cagney's.
Ah,
I'm gonna
you
go
were so
Cagney's.
close. It was La Cucina. And it
Oh,
was
it was?
yeah,
Okay,
it
yeah.
was. So I was going to tell you, it's funny because earlier today when I was looking at some of these photos, I couldn't distinguish a certain plate, which I'm not going to give it away, but there's a certain plate in just a couple of pictures from now, and I couldn't remember. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, that particular food item, where's it from? And then I remembered the plate, and I'm like, oh, well, of course it's here. And I'm thinking, man, I am such a Norwegian nerd that only I would know the food based upon the plate that it came on.
Absolutely, but it's funny, but it makes such a difference. There's so much of food that's visual.
You're absolutely right. So let's move on. Whoops, I kind of jumped ahead here. Oh, all right. So now it's just going through it, but that's fine because these are all from the same restaurant.
Let me see. Hmm. Um, that
So
looks like
all those
Cagney's.
that
Those
you
look like
just
the
saw.
sides,
What was that?
the sides from Cagney's, the steak and the
Absolutely
sides and
right.
everything. Yeah.
Yep, you
Those
got it.
potatoes at Cagney's, the mac and cheese,
Oh,
the
and
asparagus,
truffled mac and cheese. It's
and the
out of this
fries,
world.
those steak fries
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
truffle oil.
That was the truffle oil. That's right. It was. You're right. It's the truffle fries, and then this is just regular mac and cheese. But man, that's
It's
incredible.
so good.
All right, you got to know this one.
That's La Bistro, isn't it?
No,
Or
try it
no, it's
again.
Cucina.
Nope.
Oh no, wait, wait, no, what am I talking about? No, no, no. That's the hot bread that they bring at Cagney's.
No, no.
No?
You can get this. You can get this. I have a good feeling that you're going to nail this.
So it is, because I'm trying to remember. At Alma, they gave you like a couple of different breads, at least when I went. Um, hmm. I mean, I guess all I'm missing is ocean blue. That's all
That's
I
it.
haven't
You
said
got
yet.
it. It
Yeah.
is ocean blue. And let me tell you, this
Oh,
is
that's so
like
funny.
I love going ocean blue, and this is actually one of the reasons why this bread is
Oh, it's so
so
good.
good, right? It's out of this world. Like, I
It's
don't
so good.
know how they do it, why this is just so amazing, but this bread is just out of this world.
Well, it's
Makes
a
it.
head turner too, because they walk by with it, and you always have that FOMO, and you smell it, and you look at that, and you're like, oh, wait a second, everybody gets this. We don't need to sweat it. We're gonna get one of those in a second.
Yeah, it's, man, so good. Highly recommend going to Ocean Blue. Pay that additional cover charge just to make sure you get
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
And there it is. This is I'm just giving it away
Yeah,
there, but you could see there in the background. This is a little bit
nice
more of
solid.
More of ocean blue.
Yep.
And I got to say, they have some weird stuff, which isn't necessarily up my alley, but it looks fantastic.
Weird in what sense? Just the plating and the portion size, or
Yeah, like this looks like, I don't know. It just looks a little odd to me. Like it doesn't look like a dessert, but it's a
yeah,
dessert.
yeah.
You know,
Sometimes you get
so
fat. I love it when something looks a certain way and then you taste it and it totally tastes different than what you expect it to taste like.
there you go. So this plating right there gives it away. I'm going to give you that one. That's ocean blue as well. And then these are all ocean blue.
That looks
That
like dessert from Ocean Blue.
that was out of this world good.
Yeah, it's bomb.
All right. What do you think of this one? This is like a
That
staple.
the what's it called? The heart? No, what's it called? The heart? I can't think of the name of the buffet. Think of the buffet.
You're right, Garden Cafe.
Garden Cafe. Thank you. I'm like
Exactly
Harvest
right.
Cafe.
These are the
Yeah,
chocolate, they're
the
not
chocolate
brownies.
croissants.
Yeah, chocolate croissants.
Yeah, the
Thank you.
croissants.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh, they're
I've
so
inhaled
good.
my share of those.
They are so
And
good.
on it was great because on Encore, the almond croissants from Harvest,
Oh,
pardon me, from what's the name I'm sorry, what is it called again? Is it Harvest Cafe? What is it?
oh, Garden Cafe.
Garden
Yep.
Cafe.
Yeah,
Gosh, I can't
it's
remember why I keep talking. You harvest your garden. Sorry.
yeah.
Okay, so from Garden
Wow, I know
Cafe,
exactly what you're talking about.
they they made cocktails with it, specialty cocktails using essentially what would have been stuff you throw away. They fermented, I forgot which spirit, with the crushed almond croissants and made like an almond rum or something. And it was from the guys in Miami who did that great drink program.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, this is that almond croissant is incredible.
So
This
good.
is fantastic as well, so you can't really go wrong. So this one kind of gives it away.
I mean, I think that looks like Cagney's, but I don't know.
So it's funny. It does look like Cagney's, and this is what I was a little confused about. So take a look at
Because I
that,
haven't eaten that.
and we'll come back to it.
Once I see the tiramisu, I think Cucina. But oh wait, I've eaten that before. Hold on. Where have I eaten that bad boy? Hmm. I don't know. I'm stumped.
So this is Cagney's, and I had a hard time
Oh,
remembering too because I thought that they had a chocolate cake elsewhere as well. But then the plating gave it away because I remember saying, "Oh, this is a really cool look," and they had a really cool
yeah.
theme. And that's the only thing that gave it away. So I was looking at that earlier, and it was funny. And I was thinking to myself, "Man, what a nerd I am that I know the restaurant food based upon
I
the
love that
plate."
place. My favorite thing about Cagney's is I let everybody order everything, and then I pretend like I don't want any of it, and then I know that by the time we get to the end, my friends will take like a bite, and I end up inhaling everybody else's dessert.
That's a good
It's
scam you got going.
it is,
Definitely a good
even though
scam.
not that I need to because I'm on a cruise, but still in my mind, I feel like I've really stuck it to the man when
Yeah, you
it
got your
comes
money's
to
worth for sure.
it.
So this steak is La Bistro, and the reason I know that is because it's written on the plate in the very top. It's probably very hard to see, but at
Oh,
first I
that's
thought it was
funny. Which is
Cagney's
funny
too.
because the steak at La Bistro now comes with these potatoes under it that are fanned out,
Right?
and I don't
Yeah.
see them there.
Is that the
So they
filet
might be
mignon?
under there. They might be under the au jus. They might be under all that sauce. But yeah, because I have a wonderful picture from there of that steak that it is so good. That's the
It
thing is
is.
like you can go 3 different nights for steak on board, and the steaks are so differently prepared, and it could be the same cut of meat.
Yeah, and I have, and I will again. It's
Yeah,
so good.
absolutely, as you should,
Oh,
as you should.
I miss eating on the cruise ships. So
Yeah, me too.
anyway, this was a blast. So unfortunately, we have to wrap it up. But listen, thank you so much for joining me
It was
here.
my pleasure.
And I want to make sure that everybody knows where exactly they can find you on social there.
Yeah.
So it's the Yum Yum Foodie on all platforms, right?
That's right. And on Wednesday night, I'm doing a fun live segment where for McCormick Spices on my
Wow.
Facebook page. So if you look up the Yum Yum Foodie on Facebook, I'm going to be making a taco turkey burger, one of my
Wow.
favorite recipes. And then next week, I will be on the what's called the National Pork Board's Facebook Live, and I'm going to be cooking some chili sauce, spicy honey and ginger pork chops. So I'm doing a little bit of the cooking on
Jeez.
live social media. But yeah, this Wednesday, if you just go to my Facebook page, the Yum Yum Foodie, you'll see I'll be on this Wednesday live at 7 o'clock your time, Alex. So I'm gonna get to eat early. I'm gonna eat at 4.
Nice.
I'm gonna eat like my grandmother would have eaten back
Well,
in the day at like
the great
4.
thing is you have plenty of time to build up an appetite so you can eat more of it later. I mean, it makes
Duh.
perfect
Yeah,
sense.
I mean it's a win-win. I think so. It's a win-win.
It is indeed. Well, hey, Eddie, thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. This
Oh
was a
man, my
lot of
pleasure,
fun.
Alex. Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you hopefully on board soon. You know,
I
we're
know.
keep looking to see,
Hope,
you know, if there are any announcements right now. Obviously, the date is
yeah.
set for September 15th. That's the latest. But obviously, as things change or don't change, hopefully, you know, we'll keep everybody posted on here on Wrestling with Cruises. But regardless, Eddie, thank you so much again, and I look forward to checking out your live stream. And you said it was this
Thank you,
coming
Alex.
Wednesday.
Yeah, it'll be Wednesday night. And anyway, I'm honored to be here. Thanks so much for thinking of me, and best of luck. Keep up the good work, brother.
Thanks so much. All right,
Yeah.
everybody. Thanks so much for joining me and Eddie this week. I look forward to seeing you again next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with more Wrestling with Cruises. Take care, everybody.